is really exceptional. You have to be an interstellar object to be going that fast at that distance from the sun.
The data file was locked. 40 gigabytes of infrared scans from the James Webb Space Telescope were sealed with a digital embargo the moment they arrived.
It takes time for the data to come. It will take them probably a month or two to write a new paper about it. So we might, at the beginning of October, we might see the paper.
The target was 3I Atlas, the third known visitor from interstellar space. Normally, this data would be celebrated, but something was different this time. A special team secretly ran the bizarre readings through a deep learning Google AI. That's when the panic started. The AI didn't just decode the data, it revealed a pattern hidden within the object's heat signature, a pattern that has no business being there. 40 gigabytes of silence. It all started with an observation that was supposed to be routine. When the James Webb Space Telescope, humanity's golden eye in the cosmos, pointed its mirrors at 3I Atlas, scientists expected to see a comet. A weird one for sure, since it came from another star system, but a comet nonetheless. What they got instead was a 40 gigabyte puzzle box of infrared data that made so little sense they slammed the lid shut. The results were immediately locked away under a proprietary embargo. No press conference, no public images, just a wall of sudden and deafening silence. Here's the kicker. This wasn't just one team. Two separate teams of scientists got approved time to look at 3I Atlas with Webb. One team, led by Matthew Pellico, took their observations and, as is often the case, made the data public almost instantly. It was interesting, but nothing earth-shattering. Then the second team, led by Martin Cordonier, performed their observation. They used a different, more sensitive instrument to capture a full spectral cube, a ridiculously detailed three-dimensional map of the object's light and heat. And that data? Locked. Hidden for a minimum of 3 months, maybe up to a year. They could have waived the embargo. With a single click, they could have shared what they found with the world. They chose not to. So what gives? Why would two teams look at the same object with the same telescope and have two completely different reactions? The answer, it turns out, is absolutely mind-blowing. Confidential sources from within the aerospace community suggest that Cordonier's team saw something in that infrared data that was so bizarre, so completely outside the box of known physics, they didn't know what they were looking at. The heat signature wasn't uniform. It flickered. It pulsed in a way that wasn't natural. It's funny when you think about it. We spend billions to build a telescope to find answers, and the first thing it gives us is a question so big we have to hide it. The team was stumped. The raw numbers looked like noise, like an error, but they knew Webb's instruments were flawless. So they did something that has never been officially done before. They took their 40 gigabytes of encrypted data and, through a back channel, fed it to a specialized Google AI. We're not talking about your phone's assistant. This is a next-generation deep learning network designed to find patterns that human brains and even traditional computers are physically incapable of seeing. The AI chewed through the numbers in a matter of hours. The result it sent back was the reason for the lockdown. The AI concluded the object's heat signature contained a complex, non-random pattern. It wasn't natural heat from the sun or a geologic process. Get this, the AI identified it as something akin to a carrier wave, a structured signal buried inside the thermal noise. It was, for all intents and purposes, a message encoded in heat. More than that, the AI found that the object's surface wasn't just rock and ice. It was a composite material showing thermal properties of both metallic and organic elements, something that should be impossible. A flying rock that broadcasts a signal and is made of things that don't belong together. Now you see why they're not talking. This isn't a comet, it's a ghost. But what the AI found in the heat signature was just the beginning of the mystery. 1 in 20,000. When something falls into our solar system from deep space, it's supposed to be chaotic. Think of it like a cosmic tumbleweed tossed in by gravity, tumbling at a random wild angle. That's what we saw with Oumuamua and Borisov, the first two interstellar visitors. They came in hot, usually from way above or below the flat plane that all our planets orbit on. But 3I Atlas is different. It's a whole other ballgame. This thing is entering our solar system almost perfectly flat, just 5 degrees off the ecliptic plane. That's the superhighway where Earth, Mars, Jupiter, and all the big players travel. For an interstellar object to arrive with that level of alignment is, to put it mildly, statistically insane. It's like throwing a paper airplane from a skyscraper in another city and having it glide perfectly through the mail slot of your front door. But it gets even weirder. The path it's taking seems less like a random fall and more like a guided tour. It's on a retrograde orbit, meaning it's flying against the flow of traffic in our solar system, which is already incredibly rare. Then there's the sequence of its encounters. First, it makes a close pass of Mars. Then it swings by Venus. After that, it's headed for a rendezvous with Jupiter. 3 planets, in that exact order. It's like it's deliberately sampling the most extreme environments our inner system has to offer. The red desert, the toxic hothouse, and the gas giant king. This isn't a natural gravitational path. Things are supposed to fall inward toward the sun, not weave through the planets like a tourist. This is where Avi Loeb, the famously outspoken astrophysicist from Harvard, comes in. He's the guy who suggested our first interstellar visitor, Oumuamua, might have been an alien probe. When he saw the flight path of 3I Atlas, he didn't just shrug it off as a coincidence. He did the math. Loeb and his team calculated the odds of an object from another star randomly having this exact trajectory, this precise alignment, and this specific sequence of planetary flybys. The chances of it happening purely by coincidence? 1 in 20,000. This isn't some conspiracy theory cooked up online. This is a number published by a top Harvard scientist. The mainstream response has been to dismiss it, to say it's a fluke. But at the end of the day, how many 1 in a million flukes do you need to see before you start thinking it's not a fluke at all? 3 interstellar visitors have shown up in just 8 years after centuries of seeing nothing. Each one has been weirder than the last. Oumuamua was shaped like a cigar and accelerated on its own. Borisov had weird chemical ratios. And now we have 3I Atlas flying a path that looks for all the world like it was designed. A path that's taking it somewhere very specific and very soon. And we're about to lose sight of it at the most critical moment. Our last desperate chance. So we have this mystery object possibly broadcasting a signal on a flight path that defies the odds. You'd think every telescope on and off the planet would be glued to it, right? Well, there's a huge problem. In late October, 3I Atlas is scheduled to reach perihelion, its closest and hottest point to the sun. This is the moment of truth. The intense solar radiation should boil off its surface, releasing gas, dust, and ice, revealing its deepest secrets for our instruments to analyze. It's the moment the object will be most active, most revealing, and we're going to miss it. Because from our point of view here on Earth at that exact time, the object will be directly behind the sun. It's a cosmic blackout. For every ground-based telescope, it's a total dead zone. Even the Hubble Space Telescope, which orbits Earth, will be completely blinded by the sun's glare. What about Webb sitting a million miles away? Even it has pointing restrictions. It can't look too close to the sun or it will fry its incredibly sensitive multi-billion-dollar optics. The timing is almost cruelly perfect. We wait for decades for a visitor like this, and just when it's about to put on its big show, the curtains are drawn. It's a level of bad luck that feels almost deliberate, but there might be a sliver of hope. Two lonely spacecraft already deep in space on their own missions are coincidentally drifting closer to 3I Atlas than anything else we have. There's NASA's Psyche mission, which is on its way to a bizarre metal asteroid, and the European Space Agency's JUICE, heading to study Jupiter's icy moons. Both of them will pass within about 30 million miles of the object during its peak activity. That's close enough to get a look, maybe even to study its composition. But here's the problem. Neither spacecraft was designed for this. To turn their cameras and sensors toward 3I Atlas, they'd have to change their course, burn precious fuel, and risk the success of their primary missions. Every single maneuver in deep space is a gamble. The decision rests with engineers and administrators who have to weigh the risk. Do they gamble a billion-dollar mission for a long shot at the unknown? There is one more option. It's a wild one, a total Hail Mary proposed by Avi Loeb. He suggests using the Juno spacecraft, which is already orbiting Jupiter, to attempt a last-minute slingshot maneuver. On paper, it's possible. With a perfectly timed engine burn, Juno could break out of Jupiter's orbit and intercept 3I Atlas sometime in early 2026. It would be the first time in history we actively chase down a visitor from another star. But in reality, Juno's main engine is damaged and it's low on fuel. Most experts call the idea a fantasy. But what if it's not? What if this is our only shot? Because once 3I Atlas flies past Jupiter, that's it. Game over. It will fade back into the cold and the dark, becoming just another silent ghost in the void. The question we're not allowed to ask. So here we are. We have the most advanced telescope ever built aimed at an object from another star. Google's AI has decoded its infrared data, revealing something that looks structured, almost artificial. The object is on a flight path so improbable it screams design, and just when we could get the best look, it conveniently hides behind the sun. The data is real, it exists right now on a hard drive somewhere, and it is locked away. They tell us it's just standard protocol, that scientists need time to analyze their work before publishing. But let's be real, this isn't some distant galaxy. This is a visitor inside our house, and the clock is ticking. Think about it for a second. If you're a scientist and you discover something that proves we are not alone, what's your first move? Do you rush to the front page of every newspaper, or do you pause? Do you understand that your discovery doesn't just change science, it changes everything? Religion, philosophy, our entire sense of self. Maybe the silence isn't about hiding the data. Maybe it's about buying time. Time to figure out how to explain something that is, by its very nature, unexplainable. Time to rewrite the story of humanity before the public hears it raw. Because what if the truth isn't just scientific? What if it's existential? We've all wondered, looking up at the night sky, if we're the only ones out here. But maybe we've been asking the wrong question. It's not about if they're out there, it's about what happens when they show up on our doorstep. Does a discovery like this happen overnight, or does the truth get managed, slowly leaked out, and sanitized until it's safe for public consumption? Are we missing a key detail because we're not being given all the pieces? This whole situation feels less like a scientific discovery and more like a carefully managed information release. What did that Google AI really find in the code? Was it just a pattern, or was it something more, a greeting, a warning, or maybe just a simple declaration? We are here. If the sky really is silent and empty, then why does it feel like we're constantly being told not to listen? If this object is artificial, who do you think sent it and why? Let us know your thoughts below. For more truths hidden in the cosmos, like this video and subscribe.